think we'll see what it sends us. I'm quite sure we're going to climb over 400,000. They're going to be twice as good as Carolina. That whole west side belongs to Allen. That expansion for Grand Parkway, you'll see meetings doubling the population in that area.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. How you doing? Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. Good to see you. Yeah. How are things going keeping that lady at home?
Oh, it's an honor and privilege.
Yeah, I'm glad to finally.
They've got the square leg.
All right, by my watch it is 4 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started so we get you in and get you out as quickly as possible. It is now 4 o'clock, so I am calling this meeting to order, and I'll explain why we're doing it in the boardroom here in a second versus back in D7. But if everybody could just please stand for a moment if you don't mind. And you just bow your heads for me. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come before you today, the public servant that do your will, the tip of the spear of the individuals that are out there to make sure that not only our children are protected, but all the industry that gives us the ability to thrive and be a community is protected. We ask that as we begin this safety and security meeting that we keep you in our minds and hearts foremost as we make decisions that will impact the almost 13,000 students that are in the BISD and all the staff that is responsible for ensuring their safety. And we ask all these precious things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And allegiance to the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to Texas. Allegiance to Texas. One state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, thank you. If you can have a seat. Alrighty, and I think everybody pretty much knows everybody, but if we can start at the front with Mr. West, let me just do just a quick introduction.
Stephen West with BISD, Director of Environmental Health and Safety.
David Mendoza, Director of Technology. Lonnie Berger, Chief Operations and Technology Officer.
I'm David Rayburn, the principal at Brazosport ISD.
I'm Rachel Arthur, Director of Child Nutrition.
I'm Steve Reed, Safety Team Leader at BSF in Freeport.
Sarah Fulton, Principal at Food Intermediate. Crystal Hawkins, Teacher, Food Intermediate.
Wade Nichols, Chief of Police, Brazosport ISD.
Dick Winton, Director of Maintenance, BISD.
Rita Misvalley, Principal at Brazosport High School.
Ryan Lipinski, Assistant Principal at Brazosport.
Joanna Farias Cota, Mental Health Social Worker and Special.
Gary Bonsco, Assistant Chief, Lake Jackson EMS.
Chris Armorini, EMS Chief for Lake Jackson EMS.
Chris Harvey, I'm the Fire Chief, Lake Jackson Fire Department.
Chris
Chris Motley, Fire Chief, EMC for City of Freeport.
Helton, Director of Student Services, Brazosport.
Steve Rosa, EMC for Brazosport County.
Jay Wyatt, Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services.
All righty,
I missed that part. Ian White, Principal Freeport Indian.
and then for those that may not know me, my name is Ty Morrow, and I'm the Safety and Security and Emergency Management Coordinator for BISD. And we will begin with the agenda which you have in your hands. When we get down to the action items, that's where we'll start going over the actual events. Is there any special events or announcements that we need to make before we get started? Anything anybody might have going on want to share with the group? Saying none, I'm not going to give you much time. We're trying to keep this thing moving. We're going to go right into the process of Senate Bill 11, and one of the things I wanted to kind of jump down is to point 2, which is discussion on SB 11 as it relates to safety committee meetings. The reason that we're now meeting in this particular room is the Senate bill now states that we have to conduct this meeting as if it was a regular board meeting for the district in which the School Safety and Security Committee is established. So as a result of that, that means that the events have to be recorded, which is being done, that the events have to be posted 72 hours prior to the meeting taking place, which it has been done, and it has to be posted on the website. So the staff here has created a website, and I'll show you here in a minute when we get to it how you get to it, but it's posted on there. So the meeting agenda is posted on the website, so any community member that wants to has access to it, and the meeting's supposed to be open, just like the board meeting. So all that information is posted out there. Any parent that has an issue or concern about the safety of their student or their kid has the right to come into this meeting and voice their concerns to this committee for us to take action. And then those meeting minutes have to be documented and again posted for parents to go through. So, and that's a lot of change. It's a lot of formal process that's now been put to it. So that's where we're sitting here in this room at this time doing this way. So we're working towards that. That's why. So we're just going to actually go into some of the things that have changed. So now we're going to go back to the first bullet, discussion of Senate Bill 11, defining what immediate notification or significant notification to parents look like. Now, part of the bill also stated that these 5 things had to be at the forefront of the Safety and Security Committee's decision process. And again, that's threat assessment, parental involvement, mental health support, safety planning, and security personnel. Hence that because there were some districts that were not doing what they should do as far as involving the parents or doing threat assessments on students that resulted in injuries, that the parent involvement wasn't there, where they were not actually doing like we do and actually going out and doing a threat assessment. They're going to the child's house, integrating the counselors into it, getting the pastoral support in place. We're doing all the right things. Other districts weren't, but we have to make sure that we have all these processes in place. Mental health support's another one, which is big. They want to make sure that the partners, not only inside the school with the counselors, but they're also connecting with the partners outside to ensure that we get looking at the kid holistically and giving them all the support that they need to make sure we don't have an active shooter or somebody do some things incredibly wrong. And then the other piece was the safety planning piece. Brother, how would you say? Come on in. And then security personnel we have in place. Under the safety planning pieces, this is where I'm going to require some assistance from the group. We don't have a standing committee. We'll form committees as they are needed and disband them as they're no longer needed. But one of the issues that resoundingly keeps coming up at the meetings I've been going to is trying to define what does that immediate notification look like. And what do we need to immediately notify the parents about, and what time frame does that immediate mean? Does that mean like, I'll tell Steve I'm going to kill him, and then 5 minutes from now you need to be making a phone call to the parents saying, hey look, Johnny John just said he's going to kill your son, and when we haven't done any investigation? Or does that mean, within the first couple of hours? Does that mean 24 hours? And what do we make the immediate notification about? Because it's not clearly defined. So what I am looking for is I'm trying to find some folks that are, not that anybody's got any extra time, but can help us.
Well, no, I mean, are we asking for that question answered now, or are we about to do the committee?
No, we're asking to put a committee together.
I nominate Rayburn.
Okay.
Can't wait. Yeah.
I mean, but I'll be a part of that.
Yeah. We can figure it out.
Okay, so if you have an interest in being part of that committee, so we can kind of pull that together, and then so we can kind of give guidance to Mr. Madison, Mr. Whitehead, and Dr. Pelton about what that immediate notification looks like. Because, I mean, if it's a bomb threat, you know, do you tell them, as soon as you get the bomb threat, now we're not dealing with the bomb threat, we gotta make notifications to the parents, say, look, we just had a bomb threat. Even though we hadn't done any investigation, trying to figure out, is it credible, is it not? And working through all those pieces, and we need to define that, and they say, once your safety committee sets the standard, then that is your standard for your district. So that's why we're gonna need, you know, some folks to step up, to willing, and hopefully I don't think it'll take a lot of work. It's just maybe take 1 or 2 meetings, come around the table and say, okay, you know, these are the issues, what do you think? And they come up with a plan. So if you have an interest in that, please stay after, so I can just get your name, and we'll pick a date and a time, we'll get this thing knocked out, come up with a plan, and then move it forward. So, plan on spending a whole lot of time on that. All right, so the next one up is, what does the immediate, you just talked about that one, so move on to the next one. The next part, and I was talking about the, part where we have now changed, Senate Bill 11 now said we have to post this like a meeting. So let me quickly walk you through, so if any citizen or a parent says, well, I want to know where that meeting's at, all you have to do is have them go to the Brazosport Independent School site, which is the normal, and then there'll be a big button tab that says Keep BISD Safe. You click on that tab, and that'll take you to this site, and then you'll see it says, where it says Safety and Security. All you have to do is click on that, and then that will automatically take you back to this site. And then you've got, right now we don't have anything in there because this is brand new. It'll give us the purpose and authority while we're here. It will then give us the next meeting date. It will then give them the committee members, which is another requirement. The names have to be posted on, you know, who's actually on the committee. So it'll give them a listing of everybody that is on the committee. And then it will give them the meeting notice. If they so choose, want to look at it, idea of what we have. And then the final thing it will do, which we don't have here yet, it will have the minutes and the video. So if they want to click on and see what we did, what we talked about, they've got access to all that information that will allow them to delve into what we're doing. And if they want to add comments to it, they have the ability to come here, which I'm not so happy. But you got to work through it. It's a process. You got to get through it. So, but that's where everything is there for that. So, any questions on that? Make sure everybody knows how to get to it in your respective roles. Let me go back to that. And then the next one I want to talk about is Senate Bill 11. TEA has put out, I think, it's $100 million in grants to all the districts in the state of Texas, and that they have 8 specific items that the districts can use that money for. And we have chose to do the vestibule hardening with 3M film at 15 mil thick. And basically what that will give us the ability to do, so if you walk into a school that the front doors, if they do not have another trap or vestibule on the inside, those front doors will be fixed with this glass, which will then give the school the ability not to prevent a bullet from going through. But if a bullet does go through it, the window will not fall out. They're going to have to try and beat it, which is going to buy us time for Chief Nichols' staff to get there to, you know, engage them. If you get to a school and it has an outer door and then it has a vestibule, the outer doors will be open. The individual will be entered the vestibule, and then you've got a reception area either on your right or left. And then you've got the doors entering into the school. The doors entering into the school, and then the reception area on right or left will be same film. It will not prevent the bullet from going through, but it will prevent it from falling out, which will give the individuals behind the desk the ability to get out or escape, buy us time to get there to do what needs to be done. They're doing that. The only schools that are not being done are the current 2 that are under construction, and the Stephen F. Austin, which is getting ready to start construction. So it will be done as part of their process. So that money won't be going towards that. but the other schools here will be, getting that. We just got the estimates back. Originally, we were looking for bulletproof glass for the reception areas, for the receptionists alone at all the schools, but that pushed us way over the dollar amount. It was like almost $800,000 just to do that, just the bulletproof, the windows for the reception areas. So we said, okay, well, they're not going to do that. So we went to the next best, we're going to put films on all of it. The bids in, we did the release for information for proposals and money. We got all of it back, and then it came well short of what we anticipated the spending. So we've got a lot of extra money left over. So the goal would then be go after phase 2 of our radio project. And phase 1 of the radio project was to get all the campus, thanks to Dr. Felton's work and Mr. Whitehead's work and Chief Wade's work back in the back prior to me arriving, they had identified which campuses had gaps in communication. And based on those gaps in communications, we were to buy 120 radios that were campus specific. Meaning that each campus now has a communications process that they can do campus-wide, where administration talk to the teachers that are key crisis people and keep them on track. Phase 2 is a district-wide communication process where we're going to have to put some repeaters on different areas, and the goal will be working with Mr. Mendoza and Mr. Berger is to identify where those gaps are at, where we don't have a good signal, and then deploy, after purchasing them, district-wide Motorola radios that will allow the campus principals want to be connected back to the campus if they're in a meeting at admin, but they'll be able to still talk to their campuses back at, if they're here or doing some other kind of business. But the other key that it will give them the administrative team, there will be an administrative channel that will have priority over all channels. So if we ever have another event like we had last week at CLU, Mr. Massey or Mr. Whitehead can get on and do a district-wide announcement to all administration to let them know what's going on and kind of keep them in the loop. Or if they're moving from place to place, they can switch from campus to campus as they're going around if they need to pick up and hear what's going on. So that's what we intend to kind of use the second phase of the money for, with that project as it comes. So, any questions?
A question about the radios and the VDAs. What frequency are you using? Will they be applicable to emergency services to be able to transmit in and out when we get deep cells in your buildings?
My initial read on that would be no, because they are not at that high frequency and they're not for the kind of like the law enforcement police band. The chief's radios will still have that capability. These are basically just step down radios that give us ability to communicate.
VHF or UHF?
It is, which was the first one?
VHF or UHF?
Whatever's the new one, the newest one.
700.
It's 700.
And that's what we're looking at.
So it may have the capability. I'm not a radio guy. So I've got a radio guy that comes in and gives us, you know, the guy then bounce off somebody else to make sure he ain't blowing smoke at me. So, but my understanding was that, I take that back, they did talk about they have the ability to patch. They would have the ability to patch things together in the need be, but I don't know how that works. So, any other questions? Hopefully I've answered your question, maybe, sort of. Or maybe we talk offline. I can get you offline, chief, and then we can figure out, you know, will it have the ability to do that or not. Any other questions before we move on? And again, this is y'all's meeting. I'm just kind of facilitating this. If y'all got questions, please ask them out. I'm trying to get them. Then we come to House Bill 496, Stop the Bleed training. Again, I cannot stop to thank Kay, the chief, the other chief, and Mike Preslick. These guys, when this thing first hit, when I first got here in June, July, you know, I was overwhelmed about, you know, saying that we had to train all students from 7th grade to 12th grade. We have to train all staff members, all substitute teachers, and anybody that spends any amount of time on our campuses how to do stop the bleed tourniquet training. These guys right here all swarmed around me. We came up with a plan. We began to do train the trainer. We got everything going in the right direction. Steve Rosa hooked me up with all the folks from his end, and with that grew this. They did not release the training until the end of October, I think it was about, what the standard was. but because of the expertise of these gentlemen sitting here, we were able to tap into the college of surgeons and figure out this is the best in the standard, in the industry and the standard. If they're gonna go with it, that's probably what they're going with. So that's what we started training to. And they helped us get a whole bunch of folks trained up, all the nurses, all the police staff. And then we began training before the standard even came out, figuring that if we hit the mark, if they did anything lower than that, they can't go higher than what we got. So right now, we've got over almost 1,000 staff members and students have already been trained. And again, our initial plan, we were gonna do, these large groups, and they were willing to sacrifice their time to come in and say, hey, we'll do 100 at a time if we got to, or whatever we need, it's gotta be a 1-to-8 ratio to facilitate that. But once we got everything trained up and got all the people in place, it was able to figure out there was a better schedule that met the school's schedule. So basically all we've been doing is just going to PLCs, which is their planning time, or their conference periods that they willingly give up because they don't want to stay after school. And then we just been doing small groups. And then we got trainers, and we've been having them going out and doing small groups. So by doing that, we've been a force multiplier as far as getting everybody trained. And no other school district is where we are at. They're trying to get there. They're still trying to figure it out, but we've already got the model, and folks are asking, all right, what is that? How many folks you got? And how did you do that? And it's because of these individuals here and their help and willingness to, roll up their sleeves and get there to, we're there. So we still got a long way to go, but we're moving in the right direction. And then the next thing's coming up is, for all of you, if you're not aware, we will be doing with, Bill's not here, Bill Blackstock and John, I thought I saw him, Craig. Oh, there he is, back there. John Craig, we're going to be doing an all hazards mass casualty event with a train coming up here on March the 4th of 2020. As part of the discussion states that if you have a school that's anywhere within 1,000 feet of a train track, then you have to do an exercise of some kind. Make sure you got protocols and police in place for that. We do, but John's been requesting this. He's got an old bus that was involved in a wreck a while back, so he's kind of kept it. So we're going to roll that thing out, put it up. First, we're going to do a tabletop to work through figure out where our gaps are. Thanks to the help of Mr. Rosa. We're going to figure those things out, and then when we identify where the gaps are at, then we're going to roll that thing out and do a full-blown exercise to see, not only where our gaps are, where maybe police fire gaps may be, where the train owner tracks, where their gaps may be, to make sure that we're all on the same page, so we don't have any issues on if we ever have that on game day. So, like Steve likes to say, train like you fight, and fight like you train. So that's what we're going to do. Put that stuff in place. So any questions on that? So again, if you're for our EMS and fire folks, it's going to be on. I know Mike's going to be part of it. I know Luke's part of it. I know Kate and them will be there. But then Chief, if your staff wants to come and be on at 1 o'clock, we're just going to kind of work through it and see where we're at. All right, now here's this is the other big project we've been working on since I've been here. We're trying to utilize AI, which is artificial intelligence, for surveillance protocols. I've been working with Mr. Mendoza and Mr. Berger in his shop, trying to identify, because right now everybody knows we got a $200-something million bond. So every vendor from here to wherever's trying to sell us stuff. So what we've been doing is trying to identify what's the best program out there, because all of them are pretty much the same. One may have a tweak better than the other one, but all of them are kind of similar. So what we found is there's a company called Panasonic, and they have artificial intelligence, which like other companies do, where they can give you weapon recognition. So if somebody's walking up to your complex and they've got a long rifle, it can identify that and automatically send you an alert. It can do handgun recognition, versus the cell phone. They've got facial recognition where it can pick a person's face, and then once that person hits one of your cameras, it will track everywhere they went in your building and track them for you, let you know where they're at. It has barrier recognition, so if you set certain zones, say, school starts at 8:05, there's nobody should be going out these doors anymore. It will put zones on those doors, and if anybody comes near those doors or breaches the barrier, it will send you a notification, lock your camera in, and then track that person every place they went in your building for you, so you don't have to do that. It's got geographical information. Will track cars. It will track person. If you don't know anything other than some dude in a white shirt, blue pants, it will find every white dude in a white shirt and blue pants that came through those cameras and send you every place they went, so you can track it. So the thing is pretty slick. I mean, very slick. But the caveat is this: because of the intense negotiation that the district has done, Panasonic wants to use BISD as the test site. Because right now they've got about, I think it was 60% of the K2 market for surveillance and cameras, but most of that market's up in the Dallas and other areas. They do not have a very strong footprint for the artificial intelligence down here. So what they're willing to do is, we still got to go through all the bid process, but right now they have set up their system in the Brazosport High School. And the goal being is to get some real-time data to see, okay, is this just smoke? Or can this thing really do that? So for the next 90 days, we're going to be running through that system, testing to make sure that it's got all the bells and whistles and things that it says it can do, so we can validate that. And in the discussions, when the process goes out for bid and all that process that it's normally going to go to, Panasonic has agreed, because they want to use us as the test site, that if they get it and win it, that they will put everything that they're doing in this facility, in this BISD, at cost. Meaning there will be no administrative large markups. They will do it at cost because they want us to be the market. The only caveat will be is if Mr. Match and the Board of Trustees agrees to it, that from time to time we'll get a phone call saying, hey, we need to bring a school up to walk through your system. So you can show them, so we can show that it's real time, a real school that's using it, and it's just not a demo that's on a laptop in somebody's office that they're pushing buttons making things happen, and this will be real data that we use. So that's the goal, that's the direction we're moving into. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to see, how the information, comes out. I mean, this one camera they got is brand new. Nobody else has got a camera just like that. I mean, no one, none of the industry partners. And this thing is like really, really slick. I mean, it's like a bubble, and you can just flatten it flat out, and you can spin it 360 degrees, and when it doesn't pixelate. When you enlarge, you're trying to pick up tag numbers and all other kind of stuff. So and actually Japan folks came here from Japan to give us the demo and say, hey, this is what we're bringing to them. So we're on a roll with that. Discussion on any questions on that? It's a long process. We've got a lot of stuff we've been busy with. I can't thank Mr. Monty and David for all your help, pulling that together. Cause it's been a long process just trying to get all the moving pieces, because it's a lot of pieces to move. Next one is discussions on our emergency operations plans and our ERPs, emergency response plans. Chief and I were happy to say we finally got for our law enforcement partners, our emergency response plans completed. We got them to the printer. We laid out everything that they were supposed to print, and I had been so busy I really didn't look at them until I think Friday of last week, when one of Miss Mary Lou said, hey, did you get those things in yet? Have you looked at them? But no, I really hadn't had a chance. We pulled them out, and they're terrible. The guy that printed them, I don't know if their printer was running out of ink, but some of the numbers you can't read. It's very problematic. So, and it's not on the stock paper that we put in the bid or the quote. So I had to take those 100 ERPs back to him and set them on his desk, and we had to have a discussion about how he's going to fix that. But I hadn't had a chance to get to that, so we're getting to that. But our EOPs are up. We've got all of our schools, emergency operations plans, not only for the district, but also for each individual schools are complete. And I know probably everybody heard about what happened at Clute Intermediate School, I think Tuesday last week. The report of an active shooter. Regardless of it was false or not, what I'm here is to say is this: we train like we fight, and we fight like we train. Because of that, Chief Wade, his staff, Ms. Tara, and her staff were able to execute our emergency operation plan, the district-wide, and their individual one at the campus. In 2 minutes, we had that school on lockdown, and within about 10 to 15 minutes, we had done through all the process and validated that there was not an actual event, where we had already evacuated about half the students, and then we figured out what it was. But the issue is, we tested the plan, that plan, and I've been involved in a lot of, organized chaos in my years, in Washington DC, but that was about as much of an organized chaos as you can have that came off perfect. Everybody knew what they were supposed to do, everybody knew where they were supposed to be, everybody knew what their roles and responsibilities were, and they executed. And because of that, the students were safe, the staff were safe. I mean, we were unlocking doors going in, the kids are standing there with, scissors, ready to come at us because of the training. We had staff members that had if the door wasn't locked, they had barricaded the door in such a degree that we couldn't get in. We had to keep saying, police, police, police. That's where them started moving stuff for us to get in. Miss Rachel's staff in the kitchen, I mean, they, with all the cans and stuff that they had barricaded themselves a fort in the back, but the plans worked. Now, we found some gaps in the plan that we're going to have to go back and tweak, and most of them centered on communication. This goes back to your point, Chief. And then we've got to work that bug out. But once we get that bug out, overall, the plan works. So now the goal is just to consistently continue to train to make sure everybody understands where we're at. All right, and then we move to the next piece, which is our, we've got to do a safety audit. We're in the last cycle of the safety audit. So far, we have gotten 5 out of the 8 schools done. So you can see the ones that are up there: Brazosport, Brandon, Maintenance, Lake Jackson Intermediate, and Freeport Intermediate. The only ones that are left to do are Lanier, Ney, and Velasco. And then we'll be done with the safety audit for this cycle. We'll put the report together. I'll present the report to first to Mr. Massey and Mr. Whitehead, and then the Board of Trustees. And they'll have recommendations and things we need to work on and fix, and then from there we're good to go. And then we'll move into the next cycle. Any no questions? All right. Next piece that we really wanted to talk about is, just gonna wait in here, so I'm gonna kind of talk freely amongst colleagues. You had the incident, I guess it was North Texas, where the church shooting, where the individuals went in and basically, killed 2 people before he was killed. Out of that discussion with Mr. Whitehead, we were sitting around with one of our, weekly meetings, and he said, what, we do this every day. We protect large gatherings of kids or people every day, all day long. And not that we have the best plan, but let's do a church safety summit, and let's pull these churches together, and let's just give them what we've got or what we do, to give them the ability to say, hey, you know what, not that we're the greatest, but if you don't have a plan, here's one already for you. Take BISD off of it, put your name on it, and then once you start talking internally what you need to do, then get with your local law enforcement partners. They include them in the plan, because that's going to be an integral piece, because they're going to be responding to whatever it is, and then go forth and do that. And I think we had almost 100 folks in that room. I'm not sure how many churches they represented, but when Mr. Whitehead said, give me a 5 if you already got everything in place. You got security teams, you got communication, you got videos, you got a plan, it's written down, you understand it, you exercise it. Everybody knows what it is. Give me a 5. Or give me a 1 if you don't have anything. You've been talking about it, and somebody was supposed to do it or get on it and be part of it, and nothing's really been done yet. The vast majority in the hands of the rooms were 1s, which showed there was a gap. So, I think that went off, from our perspective, a hit, because when they left that, they had actionable items. They had a PowerPoint presentation. They showed them all the things that they needed to do, and they had an actual document from FEMA that walked them through how to set up the church security protocols, and they walked away with that, and they were very, very happy at the end. So now, hopefully I'll move from talking to hopefully getting something done. So if something happens here, they train like they fight, and they fight like they train, they got a plan they can go through. We talked about the 100-cent radios, we talked about the second phase of it, and then the last piece I got is the substitute training. I think the last time we talked, when I think Santa Fe, one of the lessons they learned was that their substitute teachers were their weak link. Meaning the subs didn't know the protocols of the school very well. The subs didn't have keys. The subs didn't know how to use a telephone to get an outside line. So since August, when we started back, about every month or month and a half, I'm training anywhere from 40 to 50 subs on the school's response protocols. Thanks to the work that Dr. Felton laid at my feet before I got here, that training went from, they got maybe 10 or 15 minutes, to now they get the whole entire afternoon, from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. All we talk about is safety, security, training, response protocols, and their responsibility to protect our kids once they get on the campus. So, this district is, well on the way to doing all the right things. And it's because of some of the leadership that we have, and it's from our partners like you that help us not only give us new ideas, but keep us on task to make sure we don't get sidetracked. And if you look at, I just pulled this up there, and I'm not going to play it for the interest of time, but when you look at that, in 2019, we had more mass shootings than we had days in the year. There were over 417, mass shootings, and that's, killing 2 or more people in the U.S. than we had days in the year. So, Wade says it every tour we go, he says it all the time. It's not if, it's when. And because of you, we've got to, I think, the win part and the training down, and we just continue to march forward. And let's say, is there any questions, any advice, anything that you ladies and gentlemen need to tell me so we can get on the agenda and I can add it to the stuff that I got to do? Thanks to Dr. Phelps. She's giving me a lot. All right, so that's we've made our requirement. That's a down and dirty brief of what we've been doing for the last 3 months. Our next meeting is coming up in March. Next meeting date is May 11th. 2020 at 4 p.m. and to kind of give you a brief where we're at, what we've been doing. And again, at any time that any of you are out there, you hear anything, see anything, or things that we need to incorporate in the safety and security, please bump me with an email, call me on the phone. I'll get it on my to-do list, and we will get it done. So that at the end of the day, our goal is to give those kids back to their parents the way we got them, and keep all our staff to get back home to their loved ones the way they came to work. And I know Wade takes that to heart. I know Dr. Felton, Mr. Whitehead, Mr. Massey, and myself, very hard. I mean, we take that to heart. The meeting's over at 4:35. All right, again, my committee members, anybody that may want to be part of that, please see me before you go. Make sure you signed in, or at least initial next to your name.
I'll work with him on that tomorrow.
No, we look for anybody from the committee.
Crux of all that, once you need Calvin's information, if you need me or David, it's from the technology. All right, thank you.